Yo.
What's going on, C-Mo?
Echo Chamber, what's going on, my boy?
What are you up to?
Just about to hop into the bird bath real quick. What's up?
Can you believe people are blaming Younghoe Koo for the loss? I mean, oh my god, the defense was just trash.
Listen, bro, 44-yarder indoors is basically a gimme. I don't know how you blame a defense that only gave up 260 yards.
Well, I mean, Mike Hughes was out there just stinking it up. He gave up 2 touchdowns.
Mike Hughes only gave up 1 touchdown, and on the one that was actually his fault, he tried to notify Jesse Bates to let him know that he had help over top. I'm not saying Mike Hughes is a shutdown cornerback, but he's a serviceable number 2 corner.
Well,
Snarf?
no. I mean, this is why LeBron's better than Michael. He had...
Okay, I see where this is going, bro. I gotta get back to the show. Hop into the bird bath. What's going on, family? It's your boy C-Mo the C Mitchell. You tuned into another episode of the Falcons Bird Bath on Point Game Official. Falcons lost to the Bucs recently in Game 1, Week 1, the 2025 season. If you're not careful, fans will have you out here complaining and making emotional takes all day long. Don't play yourself. Hit that like and subscribe button. Stay tuned with us, and I'll keep you clear of all the bad juju and crazy takes. Without further ado, let's just hop right into it. There's a lot of things that I told you would happen in this game that actually happened, but first I want to talk about the things that didn't happen that I said would happen, and that's a win. Us losing is the only thing that I didn't predict happening. Let's start off with the things that I really didn't like about the game. First and foremost, in my humble opinion, Younghoe Koo, as I said in the intro, was the biggest problem with the game. 2 or 3 on his field goals, missed a 44-yarder, which is basically a gimme indoors. And it's only like 10 yards further than the extra point attempt. But early in the game, he almost missed a 34, 35-yard field goal, and it doinked off the inside post. So that was kind of foreshadowing for what we actually saw. And at the end of the day, he didn't lose us the game, but he definitely missed a key opportunity to tie the game up. And he had one job and one job only, and it was the biggest critical mistake of the whole game. So the Falcons have decided to sign Parker Romo to the practice squad to give a little bit more competitive edge with Koo. Now, we already had Lenny Craig. To be honest, I'm not sure how much more competitive nature this is going to actually give us. If Lenny Craig was actually that much competition, he probably would have taken the job from Koo. Parker Romo, we'll see what happens, but again, if he was that accurate, I believe he'd be on somebody's roster. Although I will say that the Falcons have been given the type of loyalty to Younghoe Koo that you would give to a 3 or 4-time Super Bowl champion quarterback who's aging and seeing if they actually still had anything left in the tank. Another thing I didn't like was, all in all, I felt like Zac Robinson was okay as a play caller. He's pretty solid, C minus maybe on the play calls, but there was a few situational places that I wish that he would have been a little bit more creative with some of his personnel options and even some of his play calls. Definitely on the 4th and 1 run with Bijan Robinson. I'm not so mad at the play call that they had there, but I'm mad that they didn't have another tight end out there. Now, they had 2 tight ends in the game, but honestly, I think that's a time where you go with 3 tight ends in the game. And another thing that I didn't like about that play, that the Bucs were all in on selling out to stop the run, as they were on a lot of plays earlier that game. It looked like it was an option play, and you didn't do anything to suggest that you were going to run any type of option in your playbook at all earlier. I feel as though the Falcons need to incorporate a lot more RPO in their offense. It just holds linebackers and some of the defenders a lot longer, especially if they're going to operate so much from the shotgun and the pistol. It looks like almost all of their plays were exclusively run from the shotgun and the pistol formation. I'm not totally mad at them running so much pistol. They don't have a great offensive line for pass blocking. The Falcons don't have linemen that are great at power running. We're doing a lot of zone block scheme, outside zone. A lot of that play style suits itself to RPO. You're doing a great disservice to him as a quarterback and to our team if you don't use that 4.5 speed that he has out there. It definitely hurts defenses when they have to account for the quarterback as a running guy. He was able to use his legs a lot. We're going to need that a lot more from Michael Penix moving forward. It seems as though they might be a little bit scared of him getting hurt, but I don't think you could do that to a player. You just got to let him go out there and play his game. So hopefully we see that a lot more. It looks like it is in the offensive playbook. They just didn't want to, risk it on the first game of the season. They were able to shut down the running game, but Bijan almost had 100 yards receiving, and he had a touchdown. They used Bijan in a plethora of different ways, got the ball to him in space. Some of those swing routes, they got Bijan on the field at the same time with Tyler Algier. They put Bijan out there at wide receiver, fed him some slants, fed him some screens. But I'd like to see them do a lot more of that. I also feel as though the Falcons need to add a lot more misdirection to some of their plays. I think that this week coming up with Drake London being hurt, that we're probably going to have to lean on him a lot more. Drake London, as they say right now, is day-to-day with the shoulder injury as well, too. It's anybody's guess if we're going to get Darnell Mooney back this week or if we're going to have Drake London for the game against Minnesota. But We are a little bit thinner at wide receiver right now, and I expect to see them get the ball a lot more to Kyle Pitts and try to utilize him as well. We're definitely going to need Zac Robinson to get a little bit more creative with the play calling. Really wish Zac Robinson would have stayed a little bit more consistent to the run. Penix dropped back 42 times, but that speaks volumes for the type of confidence that they have in him as the leader of this offense. We definitely have us a quarterback of the future. And I believe that if we keep running the ball and keep throwing in a few more wrinkles to this offense and keep working on his connection with Kyle Pitts, I believe that he's just going to continue to get better. They got Kyle Pitts the ball. I would have liked to seen them actually attack the seam a lot more, but we were able to eat in that area with Kyle Pitts. They definitely missed Darnell Mooney's speed out there. They wanted to test Penix and make him complete intermediate passes and short dump down passes and make the proper reads, and he did. 300 yards passing. They definitely were able to get some pressure to Michael Penix, but he made pretty good plays with the ball and was able to adjust and make plays on the run that Baker Mayfield wasn't able to make. In my opinion, he honestly outplayed Baker Mayfield a great deal more. Baker Mayfield only had a 52-53 completion percentage paired to Michael Penix's 64. On defense, what I didn't like is penalties. Defense shut down their run game all day long. As a team, we had 8 total penalties. The worst penalty was on Rook Aurora later in the game. You could tell that was definitely a frustration penalty. He's been pass rushing all day, haven't been able to get your hands completely on Baker Mayfield, and up to that point in time, Rook actually had a pretty good game, even though he came off the bench. And I get it. I've been there as a defender. You're chasing the quarterback all day. You want to make sure that he knows that you're there. But Baker Mayfield is not the type of quarterback that you're going to be able to intimidate. As much as I don't like the Buccaneers, I got to give it to you. Baker is one of the toughest quarterbacks in the league. And you can make him feel the pressure. You can make him feel hurried, but you're not going to intimidate him. He's like a honey badger out there. Just think that was really a boneheaded, immature penalty and ultimately prolonged the defense staying on the field longer and giving Baker Mayfield, who was already kind of struggling, more opportunities and attempts to make good on the game and score. And ultimately, he made a great play. Like I said, we were going to get exotic with a lot of the different looks. There's times when we had 5 linebackers on the field and just one down lineman with his hand in the dirt. Like Harrison, they started the game with him at the edge position. He tried to come with a bootleg and cut him and move Baker Mayfield out there in space, and he did a really good job of forcing Baker Mayfield out there. They tried to attack us over the middle with their tight ends and out of the backfield with their running backs. We actually did a pretty good job with that. All the improvements that we made actually helped our defense out. The rookie pass rush looked really good most of the time. But the one area I didn't like was them getting off of their blocks on their pass rush. If you look at the biggest run of the game for the Tampa Bay offense, which was Baker Mayfield scrambling for 20 yards, the Falcons edge defenders actually got a really good rush and put some pressure on the quarterback right there, but they got held. And I feel as though as they get later in their career and as they get more moxie and cachet and more of a reputation, that'll probably get called. But what they're going to have to do is learn to become more violent with their hands. Hey, coach, they holding me out there. Break his damn hands. And that's how they got to get out there. You got to get off your blocks. You got to get off holes, and you got to be able to turn and run and make a play. But ultimately, they had a pretty good job, but that's one thing that I do want to see them improve upon. Another thing I would have liked to see is for us to actually get home and get more sacks and actually generate some turnovers. The Falcons actually did get a great deal of pressure out there, but it just never resulted in actually getting more than one sack. Billy Bowman got a sack, and even if they didn't blitz on that play, it looks like they were still going to get pressure. Everybody damn near got home on that play, especially James Pierce Jr. And James Pierce Jr. was definitely a bright spot out there. He paced the team with pressures, him and Diablo, and he had like a 27% pressure rate of all of his plays that he was out there. So the Falcons did a pretty good job out there of pressuring Baker, and it almost turned into a couple of turnovers out there as well, too. Xavier Watts had at least 2 near picks, and it might have been 3. Kalen Walker also was pretty good out there. As I predicted, they played him a lot on the earlier downs, and he was actually out there on a lot more run plays than James Pierce Jr. or even Arnold Ebiketie. Billy Bowman, man, he played lights out. He showed you what a nickel cornerback is supposed to be like in this defense. He came up, he was aggressive, he set the edge on run plays, didn't let them break containment, and forced everything back in, and he was even able to make a tackle while being blocked. On the screen pass, he was great out there, able to make a tackle and force a play. So I thought they played pretty well considering that they were rookies, and they played like they were vets out there, to be honest with you. Xavier Watts was out there crushing it. Xavier Watts had at least 2 near picks, and it might have been 3. There's a couple other plays where we almost had a pick on the ball as well, too. We also had an almost near interception by Caden Ellis. If he actually gets that interception right there, it's a pick 6. Diablo was able to get his hands on the deflection. That was almost an amazing interception, and we'll get to him in a second. But if the Falcons keep doing this, typically and generally, they're going to be able to cause some more turnovers, and they're going to get some sacks as well, too. This rookie, the pass rush, was definitely much more improved. Arnold Ebiketie had a pretty good game. definitely stepped it up, and he was pretty good against the run as well too. He almost had a sack on one of the plays, lost his footing a little bit, but him and Leonard Floyd and everybody were pretty good out there. But Divine Diablo, 98% of the plays, and played more plays than anybody else that was not a secondary player. Of our 2 starting safeties and our 2 starting cornerbacks. But he had a great game. Definitely an upgrade over anybody that we had out there at middle linebacker last year. In plays that no other linebacker we had on the team was making last year consistently. Definitely is better than Troy Anderson and Nate Landman would have been. Nate Landman wouldn't have been able to break on some of the passes that he was able to break on. He wouldn't have been able to make the stuffs for no gain or almost tackles for losses that Divine Diablo made as well too. In fact, Divine Diablo was so good that he even generated a holding call on one of the run plays as well too. We held Tampa Bay, a typically high-powered offense that scores a lot of points, to only 260 yards of total offense. Their run game was pretty much non-effective. They had 101 yards rushing on 23 attempts, and 39 of that was helped out by Baker Mayfield scrambling. Essentially, they had 62 yards on 18 rushing. Bucky Irvin, who was great last year, only had 37 yards. And he was basically a non-factor in the passing game for the most part as well, too. He'd have a touchdown later on in the game, and got to take your hat out to that young man. Also, as good as our secondary play, Ibuka was able to make some key plays. He had 2 touchdowns. And you got to take your hat off to that as well, too. He had a pretty good game, he only had 4 receptions, and that was 67 yards. But it wasn't a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. But we didn't allow anybody with over 100 yards receiving. As a matter of fact, Baker Mayfield only had 167 yards passing, though, even though he had 3 touchdowns. Now, most of the game, we gave Baker a hard time and made it hard on him and made him make some pretty bad decisions on some of his plays. Although, again, he made some plays when they truly counted. But I think there's a lot more to be looking forward to than there is to be upset about if you're a Falcons fan. 9 times out of 10, if you play this type of game, you're going to win. It seems like I'm putting a bow tie on a poop salad. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it's going to get better, but all things do indicate that the Falcons are definitely going to continue to improve. All right, family, that's our show for today. Stay tuned. I'll be streaming live during Sunday Night Football for the game, having a watch party, and I'll start doing the pregame as well, too. I'll be dropping my breakdown on the Vikings-Falcons game in a couple of days. C-Mo to C. Mitchell, checking out for Point Game Official and Falcons Bird Bath, baby.